Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial we are going to be working on a honeybee peekaboo tumbler. This has been highly requested. However, the original honeybee tumbler was created by Little Lee and Rose, and she does have a YouTube tutorial for that, so I definitely don't want to recreate that specific design. I want to put my own little spin on it. So let's jump right into creating this tumbler, and don't forget to stay till the end so you can get the details for our giveaway on how to win one of these honeybee tumblers and some awesome TeckWrapcraft vinyl. So to start, we are going to use a 32-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia. This is not the tumbler I ended up using in the end, but I did want to show you my glitter application. Now, normally I would use my Speedy Petey DIY epoxy fast set to apply my glitter. However, I've had quite a few ask about different methods of glitter application. I have done them in the past, but it has been a while since I have used the CRYSTALAC glitter glue. This is some amazing stuff. It has really good adhesion. I just put on a moderate coat of that glitter glue, and I'm going in with Chanel, which is a stunning holographic gold mix. This is my absolute favorite gold mix from PDB Creative Studio. And we're just going to cover this entire tumbler, and then I went around and just tapped down those chunky bits of glitter. Now, with the CRYSTALAC glitter glue, you can wait an hour after your application, and then you can come back in with either rolling your tumbler in the printer paper like I usually do, or of course you can use parchment paper and it will flatten out your glitter, or while it's still wet, I will just go in with my hand and tap down those chunky pieces. I sat that to the side for 4 hours to dry, and then went in with 2 coats of epoxy, or epoxied the tumbler until it was smooth. Now it is time to make our stencil. As I mentioned, we did not end up using the 32-ounce. We are using a 24-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia to create our honeybee tumbler. I measured my tumbler after epoxying, and it is 9.7 by 7.9, so I created a rectangle shape in the background so we can arrange our honeycombs. I found these honeycomb files from Creative Fabrica. I will have everything listed down in the description below for y'all. The dimensions of the honeycomb is 5.416 by 3.675. Again, this is for a 24-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia. And I flipped one to the side, and then I changed that one in the center to just a random color so that I can zoom in and line these up and actually be able to see where they overlap. Once I had those lined up, I zoomed that back out and then just made them all one color, attached the image, and then I duplicated it so that I could make sure that it would be a seamless design once I put it onto my tumbler. I wanted that piece that is hanging over the edge to line up perfectly with the honeycombs that are on the other side. Once I confirmed that they were in the right position and right size, I detached the honeycomb from that background, removed the background, and then welded these together. If you have a Cricut, you know it has a mind of its own sometimes. Regardless of what we want it to do, it does its own thing. And in this case, for whatever reason, when I welded the image together, it filled in a few of my little honeycomb areas. There was no way around it, so I just went in to contour and filled a couple more of those spots in so it looked like it was purposely done. So once this cut, I weeded out all of that negative space. I cut off a little slither of the backing from my vinyl. So when I had that lined up perfectly with the other side, I could press that part down, work my way out around the tumbler, and it was going to line up perfectly. Now for this, I use my cheap temporary vinyl that I grab from my local craft store. And I'm just going to use my squeegee tool and press that vinyl down as I am working my way around the tumbler. I want to use removable, so this would be a little bit easier to pull off the tumbler once we do our peekaboo design. Now, I did have a spot where it overlapped, and I decided that instead of just pressing that down, which you totally can, I trim that off so I can add those somewhere else around the tumbler or fill in areas to complete the little honeycomb. Now, while I am removing this transfer tape, I will tell you this was my fourth attempt, yes, fourth, at getting these honeycombs right. First time I had all of them separated and tried to position them around the cup. It did not line up perfectly, and I'm super OCD, so I wanted to make sure that they all overlapped and were perfectly spaced from each other on the tumbler when I wrap them around. And the other times I didn't have my sizing correct, or I did not overlap them perfectly. And honestly, in the end, this tumbler did turn out somewhat what I had envisioned, but the entire process, I just winged it because there were so many bumps or not bumps, there were just mountains in getting this design to work exactly the way that I wanted. And lots of things were said, some things may have been thrown. Y'all know how it goes if you have seen my prior tutorials. Why am I telling you this? Because you will definitely see quite a few of those mistakes and hurdles in this tutorial. And don't give up on any of your designs. If you want to try a peekaboo tumbler and you are having one mistake after the other, keep pushing it through. Just sit it to the side, take a little bit of breather, and come back to it with a clear mind, and you will have a really amazing result in the end and a great sense of accomplishment. So after I finished applying my stencils to this tumbler, I did go and spray paint it white, and then I attempted to apply some alcohol inks to it, and it looked horrendous. So I did attempt to wipe all of that off without removing my stencil, and it's obviously still purple. There's just not very many lines through it. So here I am trying it for the second time. I am using Genesis as my white from PDB Creative Studio, and the purple is a T-Rex alcohol ink. I cannot find the lid to it since doing this tutorial, so I have no clue what the actual color is. But if you are grabbing Genesis from PDB Creative Studio, Royalty, I cannot say that word, will be the purple alcohol ink you should go for in their shop collection. I just have a paper towel just sort of balled up, and I am alternating in between my purple and my white on top of each other, just so it gives it a little more of that watercolor look, and making my way around the tumbler, covering all areas. I did spend quite a bit of time on this, so I'm going to allow this to play through so you can just see how I'm blending and working my way around the tumbler. Now we are nearing the end of completing the alcohol inks around this tumbler, and unfortunately my phone did die while recording, so it does cut us off here in just a bit and go straight into the wood grain design. But prior to removing my stencils from the tumbler, I did spray this with Rust-Oleum matte clear coat just to seal in my alcohol inks, and then I removed my stencils. Now for my wood grain, I am using teak wood, And I had a brush that had some glue dried onto the tip of it, so I just took my scissors and roughed up the end of the brush so that I can get that grainy look with my alcohol inks. A great brush to grab if you don't have just a old one laying around is one of the really cheap, like 50-cent paint brushes from Walmart that are really coarse. It does really well in giving that grainy wood look on your wood grain tumblers. So I am applying my alcohol ink in streaks over my white spray paint. Now the spray paint was not smooth whatsoever, and at this point, with all the issues that I had with the purple cup, I was just like, whatever, maybe it will add a little bit of extra to the wood grain. And it did end up turning out really good. But you can see how it's going on really smooth at the top, and then it's taking a lot more ink at the bottom. On the bottom side, the paint sort of sprayed out like powder, so it is more rough textured and soaking up that alcohol ink. I most certainly will not say that my wood grain is the best in the world because it is definitely not. I have seen some pretty incredible wood grains out there, like you cannot tell the difference between the alcohol ink and a slab of wood. However, I am still going to let this play through for y'all just in case you do want to see how I'm doing my wood grain. Once I finished the bottom of the tumbler, I allowed this to dry for about 30 minutes, and then I sprayed with Rust-Oleum matte clear coat very, very lightly. You don't want to go over with a heavy coat or it will affect the look of your alcohol ink. But I do always seal my alcohol inks in just in case. It's better to take that precaution than to take the risk and have that one tumbler that just wants to go crazy on you. And the alcohol ink spread after all that hard work. So I removed the stencils and did add a coat of epoxy. Completely ignore the decal on the tumbler. I'm telling you, I used so much vinyl trying to find the exact color combination that I loved, and that was not it that was on this tumbler. So we're going to work a little backwards. We're going to add our florals, and then I will show you how I layered my decal and applied that to my tumbler. So these beautiful flowers I collaborated with Gracefully Created to get these printed out and sized perfectly to fit on a true 22 to a 32 ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia. So these will work on lots of different sizes of tumblers for this design or whatever you have in mind. And for this specific design, there are enough flowers on each 12-inch sheet to do 3 complete tumblers, which is pretty amazing. These florals will drop on gracefullycreatedccd.com on July 1st, along with my newest Brittany bundle. To stay updated and get the exact times for that drop, be sure that you are part of the Brittany Barnes Boutique Tumbler Art Group and in Gracefully Created LLC group. These decals have white on the back of them, so you can put them on any color, any glitter. You do just want to make sure that you are putting it on a glossy and not a sanded surface. They do have a teeny tiny clear outline on them, just so none of the design is cut off during the cutting process. So make sure that your tumbler or whatever you are working with has a glossy, smooth surface, and you will be good to go. When I designed these sheets, I did make sure there were a few extra elements on there just in case you wanted to make a matching keychain or something. So I did pop one of those on the bottom just to add a little extra. And you'll see here there is a little bit of a peachy pink, and behind the decal I finally figured out how I wanted my decal to look. And for that I used 2 vinyls from my TeckWrapcraft 001 matte vinyl pack. I previewed it in one of my prior tutorials, and then I topped it off with this beautiful textured champagne gold vinyl, also from TeckWrapcraft. This image is from Etsy, and I cut it to 3.5 inches wide. I created a 0.035 offset for the black, selected that offset, and created an additional offset for my peachy pink at 0.035 as well. Now, since I had already completed the decal on my wood grain, we're hopping back over to that really pretty purple watercolor and applying that decal right into the center of those florals. Since we used our amazing Gracefully Created decals and did not have to use printable vinyl, and our TeckWrapcraft vinyl is permanent, we did not have to seal these babies in. We went straight into adding on our final layers of epoxy. And seeing this tumbler spin now, I did forget to mention that when I put my first coat of epoxy on after removing my stencils, I used a teeny tiny bit of Diamond Dust Mica from PDB Creative Studio into my epoxy to give that wood grain and the purple watercolor a little bit of a shimmer. You can of course use that in your final coat as well to give an all over shimmer to your design. So for my final coats, I am using DIY Speedy Petey Fast Set Epoxy. It dries mega fast and helps me get all of my tumblers done in a fraction of the time it would with regular epoxy. And you may have noticed I have a brand new tumbler turner from DENOS Turners. I'm super excited about it. It is incredible, so look out for a review for that. I am so happy that I pushed through with this design because they turned out absolutely stunning. and I cannot wait to give one of these away to one of my amazing followers. To learn more about the giveaway details, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That will be one of the requirements. And go follow Brittany Barnes Boutique and TeckWrapcraft on Instagram. It's definitely one you do not want to miss to get your hands on some amazing TeckWrapcraft vinyl and one of these custom Brittany Barnes Boutique tumblers. Give this video a big thumbs up and let me know down in the comments what you thought about this design. And don't forget, all the products I used will be listed in the description below, as well as some coupon codes for y'all. That is all for today. We will see you next time.